Description. Right. Evening, everyone. Not the best picture to start the recording with. Should have had this one up. Mind you, that's not a good picture either. Right. I shared this during the week, in particular because of decision making and the kinds of decisions that have to be taken. Now, I wouldn't want to be in our finance minister's position because, when Godongwana went and suggested, first of all, a 2% VAT increase. How much trouble are we in that we can't balance the budget? And we know that, a bloated government service, a bloated parliament, and add to that still stupid corruption. I don't know if anyone saw over the weekend that Transnet has allocated billions in contracts to companies who don't qualify for the contracts. And remember, this is the same Transnet that bought trains from China that were too tall for our lines. I had people who worked for Transnet, and I suggested they let the tires down. And they really believed that I thought you could let the tires down on a train. But then again, if you work for Transnet, you would believe that I'm being serious. How do we balance this budget, guys? What is the right decision? It's not the
Dr.
19th of... Yeah, go for it, Munwabisi.
The first question is, how will you decide to increase VATs in an economy which is not stable currently? We are still standing in a suffering economy whereby everyone in the economy is trying to survive, and then you increase your VATs, meaning that you are actually trying to put more depression in the people in the ground.
Absolutely. And it's a sign of desperation. Because we've lost R1 trillion to corruption. We still have corruption, guys. We vote out the ANC because we were fed up with corruption, but corruption still happens. It's insane. So for me, 2% would have been a fiasco. If we think that half our money that we pay on petrol is in levies. So we can't levy the petrol more. I think I told you guys last week that if you drive across the border to Namibia and we export petrol to Namibia, you pay less for petrol in Namibia. If you drive across the border to Botswana, you pay less for petrol in Botswana, and we export petrol to Botswana. So we have these insane anomalies, and we are just ripping people off. There is a tax for everything. I found out from my wife that there's something called a rain tax. And a rain tax is if you're a farmer, depending on the area you live in. And please go search that, the idea of a rain tax. I mean, this is insane, guys. So there is the first one. I don't know, 19th of February has passed. And then what else can you do? So if we look at this, and it shows you how desperate our finance minister is. So he would have considered, and I quite like this model, okay? Imagine the alternatives that he considered before deciding that that is a good idea. What would he have considered? More sin taxes, so punish the drinkers and the smokers. Any drinkers here? I think we know that we pay a lot of tax on alcohol. I'm not much of a drinker, but I know that alcohol prices. Have we got any smokers here? How much is a packet of cigarettes at this stage? Because most of it goes to tax. Anyone who smokes cigarettes, not vaping, I don't know if there's tax on vapes. Don't we have a single smoker in class? 38. Are you a puffer, Kim? Are you a smoker, Kim? Please say yes so I can see. That's why you can't find the link to the classroom. I've been wanting to say that. Sorry, you can again report me. I thought it was pretty funny and rude at the same time. Any other smokers you're not thinking it's funny, Kim? That'll make you suffer. One smoker out of a class of 50 odd. That's impressive, guys. Yeah, you need them sins. I don't know whether we pay on vapes, etc. So imagine what must have been eliminated, guys. I can tell you now, I'm very sure they looked at levying petrol again, and somebody was said, my gosh, this is now insane. Okay. Is there a tax on vapes? I didn't know that. But again, it's a sin, so you've got to pay for your sins. Yeah, stealing money and being corrupt is not a sin, but sorry, I'm being really rude today because I'm fed up with government again, and I have my moments that I'm being recorded. So imagine when I get arrested later tonight, guys, we'll know someone from this class. So obviously, pink tax. What the heck is pink tax? I'm blown away. I don't know, guys. Um, Sugar tax. Yes, I forgot about sugar tax. Then you have, oh my gosh, you pay toll fees. So imagine what we've eliminated. So what else is there, guys? Where do we get to balancing the books? So when we look at our model here, right, that was, he thought, satisfactory until he got to Parliament. And what was he told? Eliminate from that, okay? Are the consequences affordable? Imagine, as Monwabise says, we put a 2% VAT extra. Imagine the consequences. You would have people that are already in financial difficulties be in serious trouble. And that's why we're at this point. There we are. We're at an impasse, guys. I don't know if the budget speech has happened. Maybe somebody can help me. I've been busy and I'm so fed up with anything government that I would have not even paid attention. Has it happened, the budget speech? Okay, clearly, it'll happen on the 29th of or the 30th of February. That'll be a good day, guys. The 30th of February.
12th of March.
Not
On
much,
Wednesday.
hey. Okay,
12th
12th of
on Wednesday.
March. Oh, it's 2 days away. So I wonder what's been retained for further consideration, guys. I don't know, walking tax, breathing tax. I don't know. We taxed already on our solar sun tax. Not the same as sin tax, solar tax. I don't know. So I think we're in for an interesting one. It's a lovely model, guys, in terms of any decisions that you take. Okay. So you can look at some of the others. I think the truth is no one knows. Last year, Apple turned over more than we have as GDP. Let me just say that as a fact. Apple's turnover was greater than our GDP. Can somebody quickly verify that for me? So we have a company that has a greater turnover than our GDP. We are supposed to be the wealthiest nation in Africa. Quickly verify that so that you can see I'm not lying. Can someone do a search and stick it in there? So we are in big trouble. And those of you that find the Apple turnover, please stick it into the chat. Who knew that Apple turned over more than we have as a GDP, guys? And look at this. This is now typical. My computer listening to myself. I say Apple, and this advert pops up. Did you guys see that? I don't trust my machine because I'm sorry, that is so dodged that I'm now. Yeah, it is scary, guys. Yes, today, Michaela, thank you. Sorry, guys, did anyone see how that popped up after I said Apple? Because I believe my phone and my laptop listens to me. Am I being paranoid? Please tell me I'm being paranoid. Okay, so next time I search how to kill my wife and get away with it, or just say it out loud, I've got to be extra careful. My wife is sitting a couple of meters away from me, so when I get something thrown at me, you'll know why. Okay, guys, so in terms of this one, I don't know if anyone had read this. These are serious numbers we're talking about, and these are decisions with serious consequences. So these are not the kind of decisions that you'll satisfy sway. You'll spend a lot of time looking at alternatives, holding them up to the light, checking what is viable and not viable. What is magic is this model allows us to do this. So again, imagine the series of steps that Burberry must go through in terms of arriving at a future that is viable. And then this one, oh shucks, sorry, that one. The idea of Apple, and I hope you guys had a chance to read this. I had access to it, so it's obviously nailed me. Okay, you see, that is possible, but for people that are in the maximum bracket, guys, you pay a lot in tax. It is disturbing what our yeah, maximum bracket is. So we have all these consequences all the time. How can you use this model in your business, guys? How can you use this in your own business? Can somebody think of examples of decisions that they face right now that you can use this model, even in your daily life? I think sometimes changing a job, this is ideal, because people always believe in greener grass. But I think if you look at this model, it often will change your view on certain things. If you think of decisions that you have to take at work, how will this model help you? Think of a decision that you're faced with now in terms of trying to use that, because there are so many alternatives. And then the first one, and then will it work in terms of our context? Again, if it doesn't work, and then can we afford the consequences in terms of energy, time, finances? And then those that survive, at least we have some sort of process of eliminating the really dodgy decisions. And remember, there are some dodgy decisions that get taken in an organization. I think if we can get to this, I think generally you will be very, very lucky to have the right decision. So, guys, I don't know if we did this. I'm so sorry. Evidence-based management. And evidence-based management is where you take your decisions based on stats, numbers, facts, on proper research. Now, the truth is, you will never take gut feel out of a decision. I think that's that sixth sense, something us guys don't have. Gut feel will always play a role, in particular in a world where we have so much technology. There will always be an element of gut feel. And gut feel is dangerous, guys. I mean, gut feel is when you impose tariffs against Canada and think that Canada will cower down and they respond with the same tariffs. I'm talking about the orange person now, obviously. If we look at trying to use evidence-based management in an organization, and it requires a particular culture. So the first thing is you work in an organization where it's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So issues in terms of personalities and politics and currying favor and being in it for your own self-interest is not part of this culture. Can I just see who believes they work in an organization where there is this culture of truth, even if the truth is harsh? Do we get those kinds of cultures in organizations where we deal with the truth, we don't deal? Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. Cindy, you say you're in that culture. Monwood BC says no, no. I think politics dictates so much. Tell me why you say 100%, Cindy. Where do you work? And remember, what happens on our group stays on our group. Cindy, why did you say yes? Because I struggle to find organizations that are like that. You want to share with us, Miss Carlitz or Mrs. Carlitz? Geez, today. Yeah, no. Well, if you think of where ethics and governance are important, that would be the place. And everything has to be based on fact, because you make a mistake, you have ransomware against your clients. I mean, those kinds of idiotic things. No, that's fine. I'm absolutely fine with that, Cindy. Sorry, man. Okay, the second one is to obtain the best evidence. Now, I don't know if I'm going to find this search, but yo, this irked me this weekend. I just want to go there. And I want to say Transnet allocates contracts to companies who don't, sorry for the long search here. Now, I don't know if you guys read this article, did anyone see it? Where is it? I'm going to have to go to news. I saw it in News 24. Translate. Okay. I don't know. Please see if you can find a better search. But the moment that happens, you're in serious trouble. Let me do this. Let's see if that will help us. Okay, look at this stuff here, guys. I mean, we even use the term dodgy tender, etc. Let's see. Have a look at this, guys. You cannot believe we are allocating dodgy contracts. Look at that. So when we look at that, and I know that this weekend 2 new contracts were allocated. That is not based on the best evidence, guys. It is not based on looking after the interest of the organization. So the second part of having evidence-based management is to make sure that you get your facts straight before taking a decision. And again, Cindy, you guys, in terms of where you work and the risks associated, has to have that. Who does that in their organization? Or is that also just pie in the sky again? The other one that can only happen if you have a modern organization is this, guys, that we experiment, where we challenge the status quo, we look at the world differently, we work outside the box, we ignore the past, because the past is not a predictor of the future, in particular in a world where things have gone insane. And yes, you will hear people say a past is a good predictor of a future. The truth is, when the world is as complex and insane and ambiguous as we are now, the past is not a good predictor. So here it is about challenging and making sure that we ignore the status quo, that people are given the freedom to work and do their own thing and go and find alternatives that will work. Guys, and then, yeah, again, look for the risks and drawbacks. So it is about making sure that we hold the decision up to the light, that we don't end up in a situation where we suggest a 2% budget increase. A 2% budget increase, and Monwabise had it spot on. I mean, that would be significant in its consequences for South Africa. I'm not sure what will happen on the 12th. I don't know how you balance a budget. You can't just print extra money, because that's how you have skyrocketing inflation. Guys, and then lastly, it is just not using your beliefs. Guys, the moment you have personality and powerful personalities enter with their own belief systems, decisions go wrong. And we've seen significant decisions go wrong in this country in a range of areas. I live in Pietermaritzburg. Last year or the year before, and it ended up carte blanche. Somehow there was a decision taken to give Royal AM 27 million rand. No approval. My favorite one, when the mayor was interviewed, he said, well, there's no direct benefit to Maritzburg by giving Royal AM 27 million. Where did that decision come from? Anyone aware of the decision about the 27? And remember, Royal AM is now being investigated by SARS.
Is it not sold by SARS?
I don't know. I don't know what's happened. AM 27 million Maritzburg. Guys, yeah, given them 27. SARS have put them under. Yeah, that's right, Nandipa. SARS has. And I mean, we gave these guys 27 million. No reason. So again, how do these decisions adhere to these kinds of modern definitions of ethicality and governance and decency and honesty and trust? I think I get so concerned about these. For me, I quite like this theory, because if you work in an organization like that, you're working in a world-class organization. You are working with world-class people, and I worry that there are not enough of those organizations. Any comments on that as a theory? in terms of verifying and making sure that we take decisions that will benefit the organization. Any comments on that one? Gosh, you guys are quiet tonight. It's making me nervous. So when we look at the kinds of things that can go wrong, never ever, you're right, Tariq. Well, Shelby, the worry is I've worked in business schools for 27 years now, worked in business schools as a lecturer. I've consulted. Um, I don't see that happen very often. And that's what worries me is I don't see it happen. But my concern is, remember right at the beginning of this course, I said we are going to look at best practices. So these best practices are out there. Why have we not adopted these best practices? What is in somebody's own favor to not do this? But you're right, Nandipa. I get incredibly nervous. Now, I don't make this up. This lives in a textbook. Everyone can buy this textbook. What would happen if you suggested this as a decision-making model for your company? Because remember, you are here because you want to make a difference. And I know some of you are here for qualifications, but you're supposed to take this and make this live in an organization. Otherwise, this is a load of nonsense. Who could suggest that in their company as an alternative in terms of taking decisions? Or would you be kicked out for being silly? I really worry that companies don't embrace these things. I think people have personal agendas. As I said earlier, political games all play a game. But this exists. And if it exists, why aren't we using it? But I saw someone said 99, it's Nandipa. I agree with you, Nandipa. This is pie in the sky stuff. But the reality is, if it's there, why aren't we using it? Yeah, Johnson, and that's the concern because I want us to start going to your companies with these things because you're not here to sit and listen to some old man talk about rubbish. I mean, we're here to learn and make a difference. But as you're right, I mean, company culture will not be pro that. So, guys, if we look at those
Just,
behavioral elements, sorry, go Monmo BC.
just to add on that, in one of the a friend's company where he's working, so he was told that if he dare disclose some X information to auditors, him when the auditors leaves, they must leave with them too.
Yeah, well, that's the truth. And we've got this wonderful act called the Protected Disclosures Act. Now, the Protected Disclosures Act is the Whistleblowers Act, and you're protected against that. But I had a friend who worked in a company that provided, who worked on tenders with government. They were a training company. And she then uncovered that there were tenders and invoices going out, and there was no training for it. So people were making up lists of names, getting paid, and she then made a protected disclosure. They moved her desk into the passage and labeled her an Impimpi. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and those of you that don't know what an Impimpi is, somebody explain that to me quickly. What is an Impimpi?
A snitch.
A snitch, and we know what happens to snitches and stitches. And thank you, Nomusa, for that. And the truth is, they moved the desk into the passage, and people would walk past the desk and spit on a desk. So that's victimization. It's a constructive dismissal. I think you guys might be aware that my master's degree is in labor law. But it happens. I think being a whistleblower in this country is one of the bravest things you can be. Look at the number of whistleblowers in Eskom that have been killed. I think you need some serious, serious guts to be a whistleblower. So the truth is, people don't want to hear that. I mean, who would be brave enough to blow the whistle in their own company? Be honest. Consequences are severe for people who are brave enough to do it. Kim, go for it. Will you stand up and tell them, Kim? I think you will. And if they don't listen, you'll burn them with your cigarettes. I know you're going to suffer today just for annoying me earlier. Okay, guys, so when we look at the behavioral elements, if we look here, the first one, the administrative model, I think in terms of decision makers, the first thing, because the world is so rushed, we rush into decisions. So we use information Yeah, Nandipa, and you know how scary that is, but that is the truth. That is the truth. You don't blow the whistle in this country. It's the dangerous thing, the most dangerous thing you can do, and you're shortening your life by doing that. I mean, I'm being so negative tonight. Sorry, guys. I didn't sleep last night, so I'm clearly miserable, and I haven't been drinking, as someone suggested earlier. Okay. So, guys, in terms of the administrative model, people rush into decisions because the world has gone insane and things happen rapidly. We use incomplete, imperfect information. I think people don't pay attention to stats, numbers, and facts. I think, if it were an assignment, I would say don't state opinion as fact. And I think often people use opinion as fact when it comes to decision making. The second one, this bounded rationality. So what they do is they arrive at the best decision. So we don't hold the decision up to light. We think the decision is so uncomplicated that the first one that we think is close enough, we accept. And that is risky because you are satisficing. Now, when we talk about satisficing, it means you take the best that you consider the best option, and you don't investigate further. Again, think of the mistakes when there's a complicated decision and we base it on not information. We rush into the decision and we just accept the first one that meets our what we believe to be our criteria. Dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. Guys, the second one, bounded rationality, is where we are guided by those things. And the first one that worries me is values, because people have different values. But this one is the biggest concern, an unconscious reflex. I think you'll often hear managers who've been around say, I just know it's right. Never right, but I just have a gut feel. Does gut feel play a role in decision making still? When is gut feel appropriate? Guys, sorry, my son is moving the dustbin so I can throw a bottle into it. When is gut feel appropriate? Can gut feel be appropriate? And it can be. Tell me, Nandipa, when is it appropriate? I think it comes with wisdom. I think it comes with time. It is when you have options that are so similar that you have to commit. And there's nothing wrong with using gut feel, but you can use it once you've done proper investigations, once you've separated all the nonsense. Yeah, even with experience in your field, if you have two options that are very close, gut feel is always going to be okay. But obviously you need to absolutely, when you can see patterns. The problem though, as I said earlier, Kim, past is not a good predictor of the future. I think the world has gone nuts. I don't think you can use trends and things like that to base decisions on anymore, because technology throws trends out the door. Guys, and then just your skills and your habits. Satisficing, yeah, honestly, it's one where you get the best answer that closely looks like it could sort things out. When can we use satisficing? When can we use satisficing? When it's an unimportant decision. Satisficing is, what do we get tonight? Do you want Nando's, or do you want, I don't know what the alternative is? Then you can satisfy it, because the consequences of your decision isn't significant unless you hate Nando's or want the other option is. Satisficing can be used for silly decisions. What am I wearing today? I mean, I say that actually. I have students that get up several hours prior to class because getting ready for work is an event, and they don't satisfy. So they've sought their clothes out the day before. People tell me about baking their faces, and I get scared when my students tell me stuff like that, because I don't even know what it means. But for some people, when it's a silly decision, you can satisfy. Who dresses up for work and spends hours thinking of what they'll wear and gets their outfit right, matches the color of their phone strap with the color of their glasses? Or who gets dressed? What comes out of the cupboard? Now I'm going to say it's the guys. Guilty, Nandipa. Oh gosh. Okay. No, neither do I, Bianca. Honestly, whatever comes. Oh, my Steph, how long do you take? So for you, getting ready in a day is not satisficing. It is a massive decision. It's optimizing. Oh my word. Okay. Any of the guys spend a lot of time getting ready, or is it what comes out of the cupboard? And if it's not clean, what is the cleanest in the dirt basket? Okay, no, well, that's me. I think it might take me. Yeah. But I think the reality, there are sometimes silly questions, silly decisions. That's impressive on Gaziwe. It takes Stephanie 4 hours to get ready. How many hours to get ready in the morning, Steph? Be honest. Planning and efficiency. I would call it OCD, Michaela, because when you're planning your outfit for the next day, no, iron fabrics. That's my style, Sue. I think planning your dress beforehand, isn't that OCD? As Michaela, how much does OCD factor into that, Michaela? You're not answering, Michaela, because I'm picking hour and a half, 110%. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, no, I have OCD about other things. Getting dressed is not. But I think silly things, and for some of us, let me not say all of us, because I clearly am misreading my students here. For some of us, getting dressed is what comes out of the cupboard. Okay, guys, so in terms of those three elements, yeah, this model, I'm not a big fan of it. Okay, so what you do is you use information that is iffy and dodgy, or information, if you're Donald Trump, that you've made up, and then you try and get things done based on past experience, your values, and that nasty thing, that instinctive reaction, whatever it was called, and you tend to arrive at a decision that addresses your basic needs. So for me, getting dressed is that process. I mean, I need to be covered. I was recently told by a lecturer at one of the campuses that if I were her husband, she would never allow me out the house, because apparently when you wear light pants, you can't wear a light shirt. And I had, I don't know, beige khaki chinos on, and I had a white shirt. And apparently that you can't do. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm getting advice from a woman that doesn't allow it to leave her husband to leave the house on fashion. Okay. I know, Cindy. I look good every day, man. No, well, this is insane. So when I go to Westville, I deliberately dress light with light and dark with dark, because I just, if it irritates her so much, it really makes my day better. Guys, and I think this is the kind of organizational decision that does not serve the interests of your shareholders, of your stakeholders. Guys, and then just other behavioral elements. A coalition. I think sometimes we get, and I don't want to use the word coalition, but it is the right term, cliques in an organization that band together in order to get their own sort of purposes achieved. And what happens here is that these people infect others. They make suggestions, they cajole, they lie a bit, they mislead a bit. These coalitions are very dangerous for an organization, because it's not the organization's interests that are served, it is their own interests. Very risky. Anyone work in an organization where coalitions are rife, where you can clearly see that some people had formed a little clique or some informal grouping to get their decision approved? Yeah, well, you're so true. So true. It should be a trigger word. I quite like that, Lebogang. Well done. Yeah, it should be. Oh, here we have a coalition leader, Nandipa. Oh my gosh, Nandipa. Mind you, fortunately, what happens in class stays in class. Guys, the next one, intuition. Yeah, does intuition work in terms of decisions? Remember, your gut feel is never wrong. I find it strange when somebody tells me, no, it's my intuition. It means you've not done any homework in terms of it. And then, this is a scary one. Escalation of commitment, guys, is where in a company you have taken a decision, the decision hasn't worked, but because you now feel embarrassed about the decision, you throw more money at it, you throw more energy, more resources. It becomes a real issue. And it's just often people that won't go, guys, I made a mistake. And one of, for me, the greatest leader of the 21st century is Barack Obama, and he made a mistake. He appointed a guy in finance that had some corruption charges. And yeah, well, Advotech with Stacey, Lebogang, how much money and nonsense did they throw after that mistake? I was blown away by that. And I know these are the IIE people that are agreeing with us. I just remember people won't admit making a mistake. I'm still traumatized as well, Michaela. Barack Obama appointed a guy to head finance who had corruption charges. He wasn't aware. He yeah, what happens in class, and you'll be the snitch in this case, Nandipa. And remember, stitches can happen anytime. Oh my gosh, I'm threatening my students with violence, guys. This is not the way I thought this lecture would go. And he got up. Barack Obama got on TV and said, "Guys, I screwed up." How many leaders would do that? Instead, what we'll do is we'll just throw more money, more resources, and more nonsense trying to make this work. I think the truth is this happens all too often. And your example there, I don't know who said Stacey was a Lebogang. Oh my gosh, yeah, they didn't. The person who introduced Stacey went on holiday to not Seychelles, not Mauritius, I can't remember, the brain is tired. At the height of the disaster, she took a 2-week break from it, went overseas, went to the Maldives on
Maldives.
holiday. I mean, it's insane. Yeah, I think that's the case now. Guys, risk propensity. Who are the risk takers here? Who are the people that honestly will go buy cryptocurrency and buy a lot of it, and not care? Yeah, that's it. Who are the risk takers here? Cindy, I quite like that. Yeah, my son, he plays with cryptocurrency. It's insane. I think it's a little bit uncertain. Who are the risk averse people who don't like risk? That's fantastic, Cindy. You'll get wealthy this way. I promise you that. You'll also lose money, but in the end, I think you will win. Okay. Who hates risk? Who will not take a risk, whether it's in an investment, in a decision? Because what often happens when you have a complete bit of risk aversion, you get you're too calculated. Yeah, I think I avoid risks. Try to do that's good, Shelby. There's nothing wrong with that because that's what we're teaching here. But you get severely risk averse persons that will end up procrastinating and will put off a decision, will leave a decision. And in a world where things have to happen quickly, and remember, we talk about first mover advantage, and our first mover advantage is that organization that gets a product out. Predictable risks, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I think so as well, Ongeziwe. But I think the reality is that when we look at risk propensity, real risk averse persons will put off a decision and will put off a decision. And that also is a problem. So it's that balance between risk taking and just not doing anything. Guys, and then personal ethics. I think I defined ethics the first lecture where I said it's what you do when no one else is watching. Um, for me, that's the best definition of ethics. It's what you do in terms of anything in business when no one else is watching. And I find that if you have proper ethics, for me, that is where you can say that I don't have to be controlled. I don't have to have policies. Well, you're right, Monwa BC. Yeah. It is true, hey. But I mean, for me, buying a house and moving a house, it's a massive, massive decision. I'm not somebody who can pop and move into a different house, but I worked with a colleague that sold a house every 3 years because she got fed up with it. I think I would literally take me 3 years just moving from my house. So these kinds of things are in your organization. And I think part of making sure that you take decisions effectively is that you do an audit on these things. You make sure that you audit your decision-making processes. Can I also just say that first mover advantage means the time between an idea and it launching on a product on a shelf somewhere is down to very little. So you need this balance with all of this stuff, guys. And for me, these are the kinds of things that you audit. Imagine we go to Transnet and we order these in terms of their decision-making processes. If we had to rate that out of 10, guys, I think we would fall off a chair at how bad it would be. But we'll never do that audit because what we do is we rather do things in the dark and we lie about it. Sorry, I'm being negative again. Right. So when we look at group and team decision making, I think for team decision making to work, there has to be honest, open communication. The problem with these kinds of groups and teams is that personalities dominate. Don't know if you've ever been part of a group decision. There are always one, two, or three personalities that dominate and then bully decisions. Now, that's not what we expect in terms of those interacting groups and teams. Who works in an organization where bullies get their way often? Or the strong personalities get their way? They dominate the discussion, they dominate the suggestions, they talk over people. Or is anyone like that? Nandipa? I don't even know where you found that, Nandipa, but that's pretty good. I think we have this absolutely everywhere, where your powerful personalities get their own way. Who here considers themselves a powerful personality? I just want to hear who considers themselves a bully. Kim, please put your hand up so that I don't know why I'm picking on you, Kim. I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, well, that happens, hey. Guys, and then Delphi groups. Delphi groups are interesting. I've been part of a couple of I've been part of a couple of Delphi groups. Now I know that this is the moment that you guys have been waiting for. Oh gosh, Da Vinci striking again. I'm so sorry, and I haven't even connected my writing pad, so I'm going to do this with a mouse. Delphi groups are very good for strategically important decisions. So I know you're waiting in anticipation here, guys. So here comes the art. So what happens with the Delphi group is that you have a centralized admin type function, coordinating function. It's a some centralized coordinating function. And what you do is you have a series of questions that you send subject matter experts. So you can do scenario planning, and I know you guys know what scenario planning is, using this. But these are strategically important. Yo, there's some wild women on this course. My favorite part of Mondays, Bianca. Yeah. Oh, sorry, my drawing. I thought you meant doing what Cindy does, cutting people off at their knees. Sorry, no, I know this is exactly. I think everyone waits for these moments of art. Thank you. 25% extra on your assignment, Bianca. I thought you were still talking about Cindy. 30% extra on your assignment, Michaela. Guys, so what happens is you have the centralized admin function, and you will send a series of well-defined questions in scenario planning. What do you see the future is in terms of whatever areas, whatever areas we trying to strategize around. And what happens with these subject matter experts is they then send back their suggestions about, let's just say, the future and the scenarios. And what is interesting about this, these are then collated and again sent back to these subject matter experts. So you could imagine you'll have a variety of different views, but we have this to and fro process until these subject matters experts arrive at a single suggestion, at a single decision, and it works really well. What is important is that you have boffins here, that when we say subject matter experts, you don't allow average. Okay. So, but it's this to and fro process, and it works really well. What do you think is the disadvantage, the most significant disadvantage of that? It's time consuming, guys. The world moves rapidly. It takes a lot of time. And yes, you'll get this optimal decision, but it takes time. And the scary thing is, in a world where we want first mover advantage and we want to cut down the time between idea and a product appearing on a shelf, this doesn't really work. Another one is nominal group technique. I don't even know if I need to draw this. I don't even know if I can draw this, but I will because I desperately need to do art. Well, Kim, and that's the scary thing. I think AI tools will replace a lot of stuff. And AI tools and decision making are essential. One of the challenges with AI decision making is where do ethics fit into it? So one of the things we have to sort out before we just let AI take our decisions, what about the ethical component? We haven't had AIs with ethics built into them yet, or none that I'm aware of. So AI might give you optimal decisions, but at the expense of what? How do you, the modern definition of sustainable competitive advantage is wealth creation for stakeholders. So we have all our stakeholders and we create wealth for each of those. How do we build that into an AI tool that I think could just focus on shareholders? So ethics and AI tools are a long way from being finalized. I don't know what you guys think about that as a comment. Yeah, no, absolutely. Oh yeah, you can definitely do that. But I think people are talking about, in some places they use AI to decide who gets medical grants, who does a medical aid payout for, what do they approve in terms of diseases, and they've taken the human element out of Western countries, and it has no ethics to it. So it is brutal. It doesn't care about the human. It cares about the business. I think, yeah, in terms of AI tools, absolutely, that does make a difference in terms of coordinating, and it's a good point. But AI and ethics, I think we're far away from that, guys. And it's interesting. Read some articles if you want to see what is being said about AI ethics and decision making in business. It's very, very profound, actually. Guys, nominal group technique is a strange one. So one of the problems with normal brainstorming is that the powerful personalities, yeah, Michaela, yeah, I was just thinking of that the same, and that is such a good point. Nominal group technique is very similar to brainstorming. Now, obviously, brainstorming, if it works well, you don't have personalities that dominate. But I think, to be honest with you, I have a very strong personality and I have a lot of opinions. So when I'm in a group decision, you will hear my opinion, and I often will talk over people. It's just my nature. I wish I weren't like this, but that's who I am. And also brighter than everyone else generally. So they have to listen to me, and humble at the same time. So the way a nominal group technique works, guys, is you get a well-structured question placed on a board. You then have a group of people that break into groups of 5 to 7. These groups will sit individually and write solutions. So you don't talk at this stage. On a piece of paper, each of the group members writes solutions to whatever the question is. Then, so you'll have 5 to 7 members here. That group, and it's generally 7 members, they'll have a group leader where they will then look at those answers and they'll vote on the answers from those individual group members. What they'll then do is those prioritized answers are then placed on the board, and the entire group would then vote on those again as as a way of arriving at what they would consider the best decision. Any comments about that as a process? I don't know if anyone's been part of it. I used to run strategic planning sessions like that, in particular where I've had really strong personalities. Nominal group techniques. It is a wonderful idea when you have quiet, bright, competent people that won't speak up because honestly, their personality doesn't allow it. Has anyone been part of a nominal group technique before? If you're the kind of person that has to run decision-making meetings, go, oh, Tariq, 100%. I mean, it is so designed for that. Just go look for nominal group technique on YouTube and you'll see how I'm being kicked out of team as I am busy talking here. I cannot understand this, guys. I've just been kicked out of my teams. I don't know if it's still going to record. I'm absolutely blown away by some of the stuff that happens in the background. Sorry, I'm having a real moment right now because this has happened before and we lose some of our recording. Sorry, guys. Let me just sign in again because I'm now irritated. I've literally just signed in. Okay, let's hope the recording continues. My apologies for that. Yeah, well, Nandipa, that's it. Remember, the only time you benefit from a decision is when you implement it. So lots of decisions are great on paper, but nothing happens to them. Yeah, Tariq, if you've been part of nominal group technique, it's a powerful tool. Do yourself a favor, guys. Go and watch it on YouTube and see how it works. It's a wonderful way of getting very quiet people to contribute. So advantages and disadvantages of team decision making, always more knowledge and information available. So also what you want to make sure of is that you don't have homogeneous teams, that you have diverse teams where people don't think the same, they don't look the same, they don't sound the same, they don't believe the same things. Because the more diverse the team, the better the decisions. If you've got a homogeneous team, you get dull and stale decisions. You end up with a dull and stale organization. And then tons of alternatives. The nice thing about a group decision is if people are part of the decision, they are likely to accept that decision. And for me, that is always better when it comes to the implementation. And you can see some of the others. The belief is that it's a better decision. Disadvantage takes time. And then often what happens is a compromise. So instead of optimizing, we start compromising because, you know, you have one coalition that believes A and another coalition, and then we end up with a compromise. Compromise decisions are dodgy, guys, because it's that win a little, lose a little. So you end up with this watered down decision. Yeah, one person dominating the group. But when that happens, guys, you do nominal group technique. That person has no influence then. And then, does anyone know the term groupthink? Come across the term groupthink before? And it happens in organizations. There's the answer there. I don't look at the slides when I teach. I should do that at some point. What is a groupthink, Sue? You can unmute yourself. And Sue, do you want to tell us what groupthink is? I won't put you under pressure. Guys, groupthink is where everyone in a group thinks the same because thinking different becomes a way of punishing those people that we consider rebels, etc. So what we do is instead of dealing with alternative views, because we are so desperate for us to be one big happy family, you don't think different because it really is punishing if you well, that's scary, Johnson. That is scary. I no problem, Sue. That's fine. That's fine. It's peer pressure. It happens all too often. And you're being in an organization where you contradict groupthink. You become a rebel and you become the kind of person that gets isolated very quickly. So you just agree so that you don't have to deal with the headaches of yeah, well, sheep. Unfortunately, that's the truth. I don't know if anyone is Afrikaans on this call. Is there anyone Afrikaans on the call? Um, you know, Bianca, I had a friend who didn't do well in the army, and he said it's because he's not a tropdier. He's not a herd animal. And I think often when we have group things, you have herd mentality. It doesn't work for me. Guys, and then just, I think when we use team decisions, it's never perfect. The key thing, because this can drag on, have deadlines. Unfortunately, deadlines may push compromises, and then just don't let the Kims of the world dominate your decisions. I don't know why I'm picking on you tonight, Kim. You can report me to Tammy. And then again, sorry, Kim. Ask me again where the group link is. And I think this idea of groupthink avoided making sure that everyone has a say and that we critically evaluate people's contributions. Oh my word. I might be fired after tonight, guys. So I think in terms of what we've looked at, can I tell you, Mashant is scared of me. So you tell him, and I'm being recorded. Now I'm definitely passing you guys first, guys. And there is what we did tonight. I won't move on to the next. Any questions, any comments? Let me just stop the recording. This makes it a lot easier. Oh my word. What is going on? This has lost its marbles, guys. Stop recording. Okay. Right. Can I see how the assignment is going?